If you love tube stuff but your regular monster amp is way too loud for practice or for studio use, you definitely want to watch this video because... Hi, this is Gregor from BassTheWorld.com, and here we have the CTM-30 Little Stubby bass amp by Ashdown Engineering out of the UK. This is a 30 watt amp, it's all tube, which sounds fantastic, and no matter if you like your bass sounds clean or dirty, this one got you covered. The Little Stubby weighs only 12 kilos and is driven by 4 JJ-EL84 tubes in the power amp. On the front we have a sweet and simplistic control plate. It starts with the input on the left that comes with a sensitivity switch. The drive control is the gain, of course, and then we have the feedback that we will discuss in a moment. We also have, of course, a 3-band EQ, a master volume, and a tube-driven effects loop for all your pedals or additional preamps. And of course, most important, the VO meter, which is in every single Ashdown product on the market, and this one shows the output peaks of your amp. The Little Stubby is a dream for all friends of gain staging like myself, and gain staging is a very easy concept that every musician should know and should be aware of. It basically means where the gain and where the volume of your signal comes from. Basically means if you always stay within the same volume of the amp, you can still change the sound a lot. You can basically use the gain, turn it all the way up and turn the master volume a little bit down, and this will of course sound very dirty, very aggressive, because the input is of course overdriving. You can do the same if you turn the gain down and put the master volume all the way up. You will get a very, very clean sound, but it's the same volume, but the sound is very, very different, and you can try different settings, different combinations to see what works best for you. And what I love about this amp is that in combination with the sensitivity switch, that basically changes the impedance of the input, which is usually referred to as a switch to use for active and passive basses, but this is, I say this myself a lot in these videos, but this is basically oversimplified bullshit if you ask me honestly, because this is so much more. It's a lot of sound. There's always one setting that makes your bass super clean and another setting that gives you a lot more preamp and tube saturation in this case. So just try it out, try a lot of different combinations, take a couple of minutes when you get such an amp to get used to it, and you will find a lot of sweet spots with different combinations, dirtier, cleaner, whatever you're looking for. And this is gain staging, and again with this amp, you have these 3 components. It's a lot of fun. There's a huge range of sounds you can get out of it. And now let's finally talk about feedback, which is an interesting new feature in this Ashdown amp. In the manual it says, the feedback control alters the slope of the lower frequencies in the bass control section. Whereas mentioned that this control is the heart of this amp, whereas mentioned that it's the source of its awesomeness. Nowhere. Why would you hide such an important and valuable information? There are, at least in my book, 2 different types of tube amps for bass. One type is the Ampeg SVT kind of amps. Those are very clean, they're loud, they're punchy, they will punch you in the face, they will rip your ears off if you're not careful, but mainly they're very, very clean and very direct. The other kind of tube amp is slow. These are like Ampeg B15s, Fender Bassmans, these kinds of amps. They have a lot of low end. This is the kind of sound that you want to take a bath in. They're very warm and just very, very lovely. It's kind of vintage, what's often at least referred to as vintage amps. The cool thing about the Little Stubby is that this amp is basically capable of giving you both sides of the aisle. So, and this is thanks to the feedback control. The feedback adds a lot of low end saturation, and this is basically what emulates the sound, or what gives you the sound of these nice vintage sounding B15s and this kind of stuff. And if you want to have a very clean, rather sharp sound, just leave the feedback somewhere in the lower setting. But if you like this low end, if you like to have this warmth, just dial it up and you will fall in love with the sound right away, as I did. And I find this feature so good and so awesome that I always feel sorry for everyone who owns a tube amp who doesn't have this control. Sorry. The back panel is even simplistic than the front panel, if that's a word, I don't know. On the left there's the mains in and the power switch. In the middle there's a fan that I haven't heard yet, despite using the amp for quite a bunch. On the far right, where we usually have UKIP, we have here a transformer-based DI out and a speaker out with 4 ohms and one with 8 ohms, from one of which you have to choose. The DI out here is not XLR, which is a bit unusual, but not a problem. All you need is a so-called TRS or stereo jack cable, as you need for keyboards and these kind of things. And by the way, the DI out sounds absolutely fantastic. Just for the record, the sound samples you hear in this video are a mix of the DI out, mostly like 60% and 30% of a cabinet sound. And I'm not actually using these cabinets, they're great, but I have to connect them because tube amps always need a load. But in between I'm using this 2 notes captor thing, which just is in between the amp and the cabinet, takes the signal, sends it out just like a DI signal via XLR, adds a little bit of a digital cap simulation, which sounds really good, and these two sounds are mixed together. And I think this is just a very convenient and very nice solution for everyone who's too lazy or too dumb to mic up a microphone, or just has a very shitty sounding room, or just like myself, all of these things combined. The final question is how much I really love this amp. Is it a 9 out of 10 or a full 10? I mean, what's really cool is it's very small. The tubes and transformers are mounted vertically to make it one of the smallest all-tube amps of all times. It's also lightweight. 12 kilos really isn't much for a tube amp in a solid housing. It's versatile. It's super easy to use. It sounds fantastic, and on top it's not even expensive. Cool. At the end, there's one more thing that I want to address. This is a 30 watt all tube bass amp, and 30 watts really doesn't sound much if you compare it especially to a solid state that the most people are used to. 30 watts really isn't much. This is like a small combo that you use at home. 30 watt all tube are loud. You can definitely hurt or torture someone with this if that's what you're into, I don't know. But it's definitely not loud enough for your rock band or metal band for rehearsal or even gigging. If you have to compete against like 4x12 cabinets and 100 watt Marshalls and a loud drummer, forget it with this amp. Maybe it's possible, I haven't tried it, but in this case you need to use all the gain, all the master volume, and the amp will distort, it will sound dirty, which is cool, but you're getting rid of all the amazing sound option that this bass is offering. So this is really an amp for rehearsals, for moderate sounding bands, for normal bands who play like pop, funk, whatever, this kind of stuff. Everyone who's not loud can use this amp. This is an amazing amp to use at home. If you want to have a great sounding quality amp at home, this is the way to go. And this is an absolutely fantastic studio amp. You have this great sounding DI out. You have the possibility, in addition to mic the cabinet. And I would say, if you like a bass sound that's not super clean, but with a lot of character, with saturation coming from different places that I explained you can get out of here, this is absolutely a fantastic amp for the studio. So if you're playing a lot of this kind of stuff, you might want to check this out. And yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, just put them in the comment section below. And if you like this video, just smash the like button. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. And if you think it's great what we're doing, thank you very much. And if you feel like you would like to support this channel, just check the Patreon link in the comment section in the first comment. If you want to support us directly, this would be very, very cool. That's it for today. See you next time and have a wonderful minute. Bye bye.